What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush, Let's Talk Jets. Hope everybody had an excellent day. The weather in New Jersey is getting warmer. We're in the 50s, going to be 60 on Saturday, so no more complaining for me until Sunday when it's 30 degrees. But today was an interesting day in terms of Jets news, as a lot of people were reacting to the press conferences yesterday. So driving into work this morning, I'm listening to Boomer and Gio on WFAN, and Gio starts off with Darren Muji and just starts ripping him. From his hand gestures to talking like a politician to just all these different things to the handling of Aaron Rodgers. And it was so just weird to see because, like, if Muji said nothing, he'd be considered John Idzik. If he talked too businesslike, he'd be Mike Maccagnan. So no matter how he presented himself, I'm sure he wasn't going to win. And then it went on to Aaron Glenn, and they were ripping Aaron Glenn too. Well, not Gio was ripping Aaron Glenn, with his hard-ass act, and kind of questioning some of the words he used and his presentation of it. And it's funny because they kind of called him Saleh 2.0. Like, we've already seen this before. First-time head coach, first-time coordinators on offense. It's just not going to work. We're wasting our time. 2 years from now, he's going to get fired. And it was kind of just like, man, like, is that how we're going to handle this already? Like, there's no clean slate. It's just people want them to fail to say they were right. People expect them to fail because that's their content, right? And for me, I had the opposite approach, and people were calling me, you're being a fanboy. I thought both Muji and Glenn came off prepared, knowledgeable. Glenn is doing his best to set the tone early for the media and for the fans, and for most importantly, his players. The Jets are a rudderless ship that lacks leadership, especially with Rodgers now gone. He's trying to take hold of this program, saying, listen, there's a new direction here, new program here, new mindset, new philosophy here, and he's doing that. But keep in mind, once the press conference got a little bit more going, he eased up. He showed his personality. If you watch his interview with Eric Allen, he was cracking jokes. There's a lot going into it. But to offer these assessments in a 12-minute interview, to me, is just wild. And it just shows you the negativity surrounding this team. But I'm not surprised, because half the fan base is the same way, already discounting this season, discounting this regime, and not buying into anything. Now, I understand they haven't coached the game or haven't done their draft or free agency yet, but at least for me, like, looking what the culture change they need, the early stages are promising, and I'm encouraged, and it's all you can do. Now, people said, well, you thought the same thing about Saleh. Saleh following Gase was a breath of fresh air because he had a personality, he seemed intelligent, well-spoken, and he seemed like he had a blueprint. So we don't know. But there are also people that are ripping Nick Sirianni and Dan Campbell and took their jobs, and look what happened to them. So it doesn't, because you're following the path of a certain trend, doesn't always mean the results are going to be the same. So whatever. I'm done with it. Call me what you want. I don't care. So then you go on, and then the NFLPA ratings came out for owners, and no shock to no one, Woody Johnson got an F. Now keep in mind, I think he got a B- last year, because when you trade for Aaron Rodgers and you have all this hoopla, you get a lot of credit. I gave him credit as well for getting it done and the money being spent and everything else. When you fire your coach 5 games into the season, and you obviously get involved in personnel decisions, and your team is miserable, and you haven't made the playoffs in 15 years, and everything else, you're going to get this result. And you release Aaron Rodgers too, when half the locker room liked him. Like, there are so many negative things surrounding Woody Johnson. This grade is deserved. I mean, I'm not his biggest fan by no means. He's raising ticket prices off losing seasons, during losing seasons. So he has no supporters anyway. So the grade to me meant nothing. I expected it, but it did make you think a little bit. Now, as the Jets head into free agency, which the tampering period starts March 10th, you look at how are they going to attract players to their team. Now you have Aaron Glenn, who's a first-time head coach, a lot of passion, a lot of conviction about his program. But it's like, what are you going to sell me on? You got to sell them on winning, and you got to give them a lot of money. The Jets, I don't think, are going to spend haphazardly because they can't. They have a lot of holes to fill. Are you going to sell them on winning? You can't even tell them who the quarterback is. So then you got to sell them on the opportunity, the organization. Like I said previously, they haven't made the playoffs in forever. They're known to be a dysfunctional, losing organization. Enter the Woody Johnson fiasco, where you just saw him being rated as one of the worst owners in the NFL. How does that appear to a free agent? Like, how do you even handle this? Now, the thing is, you pay the Jets tax, and you can try to overpay somebody, or you have to have the ultimate salesman in Aaron Glenn, in Darren Muji, in Rick Spielman, to try to assure them that things are actually changing. And maybe even having Woody Johnson admit that he's taking a step back and things are actually changing himself. Because this is not a desirable location right now. Same thing for the head coaches. Aaron Glenn wanted this job. There is no doubt about that. The same way Rex Ryan did. I think Aaron Glenn's a little more prepared than Rex Ryan was at his time, but whatever. He wanted this job, but I'm sure a lot of those coaches that everybody wanted that are bitching and moaning they didn't want this job because you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a great owner, and you have a program that just seems like they're lost right now. So if you're a free agent, why do you want to come here? How do you overcome this? And the Woody Johnson issue is going to be a factor. So I'm going to be fascinated to see how they handle this. I don't think they're going to go into free agency as big spend or big high price, like big name chasing and things like that. You get a lot of complimentary players, a lot of role players, maybe pay for a couple of guys that are your new leaders, new voice in the locker room. Glenn, deems that are his guys. But this is going to be interesting, man. This is going to be a factor, and you wonder how much it hinders this team going forward. Now, how you change all this? You win games, and it means a lot of them. If you can win 8-9 games this year and you show progress, people will start buying in. When the Giants with Daboll, they won their first year and got, coach of the year, people bought in a little bit, then he tailed off. But you've got to show legitimate direction and a legitimate program where all the pieces are going the same direction and everybody's buying in. So that's the other piece of this. Is everybody going to buy in? Can you get guys like Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, Garrett Wilson, Quincy Williams to reach out to players and say, listen, man, I know you think it's bad here. We talked to coach already. Good dude. We're all in. Come hang out with us and join this party as we rebuild it and become the biggest story in New York. So we'll see how it goes. It's never easy when you're a Jet fan. It's never easy when you're a coach of the Jets. As you see, a lot of people are rooting against them or expect the worst already, and it's only the end of February.